I will do my best in attempting to give a presentation of a vulnerable population in child welfare of human trafficked youth. What is human trafficking? According to the Department of Homeland Security.gov, human trafficking is a modern-day slavery. It involves the use of force, fraud, coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex. Every year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked in countries around the world, including here in the United States. Human trafficking is a hidden crime as victims rarely come forward to seek help because of the language barriers, fear of the traffickers, and or fear of law enforcement. More so treated like criminals instead of victims. Traffickers use force, fraud, or coercion to lure their victims and force them into labor or commercial sex, exploitation. They look for people who are susceptible for a variety of reasons, including psychological or emotional vulnerability, economic hardship, lack of a social safety net, natural disasters, or political instability. Most often, children fit that criteria. So they are what we would call a double jeopardized population. They are children, and they are of the human trafficked population. A victim of human trafficking may look like everything you've imagined, or they may look like the girl next door, your niece, nephew, younger cousin, or their best friend. The same could be said for the trafficker. He or she could very easily look like your next door neighbor. The two videos you're about to watch will be a testimonial and a snippet of life as a human trafficked child.
Sasha Ray was born and raised in Florida. By the time she was 14, she was constantly being teased at school.
What I got picked on a lot about was being black. Like really, really dark skin, I guess.
She felt alone, at home and at school. Sasha Ray says that's why, when an older classmate offered friendship, she jumped at it.
I thought she was like my best friend, because I could like tell her anything. One day she asked if, I want to skip school, want to have fun, So, we went to this barber shop. When I was there, she introduced me to these guys.
Sasha Ray's new friend had just led her to the man who would eventually become a trafficker.
They talked about how we was going to make money, how it was going to be easy, we didn't have to depend on nobody. And it was all sounding good and stuff, so I fell for it.
Was there any kind of grooming process, like when this first started, where it's just something that just happened and he was just expecting you to learn on the way?
He slowly brought it on when we got closer, when he felt like he got closer to me. He usually did it out of the back of the barber shop. And he even had people that worked with the post office, mailman come in. Mailman came in and paid their money to him, came back there to me.
And now just a glimpse of the actual life.
My father abused me. I've lived in 4 different foster homes. I don't even know how many men I've been with. I've been doing this since I was 14. And I'm tired. I don't like this. Is this all I'm good for? Do you even care who I am?
Just relax.
My father abused me.
Now for a few facts and stats all compiled into one. As you'll notice, the illustration has human price tags. Is that actually possible? Is that what America has dwindled down to? However, child trafficking victims, whether for labor, sex, or organ trafficking, come from all backgrounds. They include both boys and girls. Human trafficking has surpassed the illegal sales of arms. Average victims age are 11 to 14. 11 to 14. Approximately 80% are women and children bought, sold, and imprisoned in the underground sex service industry. A $32 billion a year industry, human trafficking is on the rise, as in all 50 states. 59% women, 14% men, 17% girls, and 10% were boys, disproportionately affecting women and girls. Short and long-term effects of victims. Signs of physical abuse, such as bruises, broken bones, burns, and scarring. We'd expect that with what they lived through. Educational deprivation, especially starting at the ages of 11 and 14. Distraught families, of course, because they have no idea, for the most part, where their families are. And for the small occasion or incidents where families are involved, can you imagine the emotional scarring? Development of mistrust, conflicted social norms, death, which is the ultimate price. Limited access to basic necessities such as safety, food, sleep, hygiene, and medical care. Great impact of children's emotional, physical, and overall psychological development. Untreated chronic illness such as diabetes or cardiovascular disease. Becoming addicted to drugs and or alcohol as a way of coping. Often isolated from their social circles, leaving individuals unable to engage socially or reach out for help. The victim is stripped entirely of their rights, freedom, and humanity. The cultural, social, economic, or class and gender issues involved. The longer the misconception that a problem does not exist lives on, the less that there can be done to address it. Traffickers can be parents, friends, trusted relatives, or even an intimate partner. It undermines what America is, our values, our beliefs, and as the land of opportunity and the land of freedom. Victims may have had in trying to secure a better life before finding him or herself in the trafficking situation. Meaning, this may have been a setup to get away, to secure a better life. This point also suffices as a social economic issue. Undocumented immigrants disproportionately affects females as victims and perpetrators again. Cultural and social economic and gender issues continued. Human trafficking is a burden on the economy and costs us about $32 billion annually. Trafficking itself is a huge financial operation, estimated to generate around $150 billion annually. It demands for cheap labor help drive the human trafficking market. The most vulnerable groups are those with limited rights and protections. sex as a means of survival in exchange for food, shelter, and clothing. Just to list a few ethical dilemmas, the very obvious are, of course, right versus wrong, legal versus illegal, proactive versus reactive, and inactive. And just so you'll get maybe a closer view, this could be your daughter. 2 million children in the commercial sex trade. Our lives begin and end the day we become silent about things that matter. Ways to remedy the problem, just to name a few. Human trafficking awareness. Just educate yourself. Report suspicions, even if you're not sure. Support anti-trafficking efforts. Write your local, state, and federal representative to support their initiatives or request their support for your initiatives. Protection must include provisions that cover safe harbor, victim assistance, civil remedies, the ability to vacate convictions for survivors, and strict hotline posting requirements. And of course, there's a number provided for the National Trafficking Hotline.